entertaining, and informative Kaye Wood.
Welcome back, all my quilting friends. On today's show, we're going to take a look at some techniques on a quilting machine. Then we're going to go into seeing some of the Star Maker Challenge pieces. That we have a challenge every year on those. But before we do that, let's meet our guest. This is Jeff Jokums. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Kay.
Jeff is the president of the American Professional Quilting Systems.
You got it right.
And Jeff, how did you get into quilting machines?
Well, basically back about 1983, just out of high school at the time,
Right.
I stumbled really upon a quilting machine that was very similar to what we now manufacture in concept. However, they were old, refurbished quilting machines. They were limited, but in principle, they were the same thing.
Sort of basic and primitive, as you said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we just took the concept and expounded upon it. And thanks to some smart gentlemen that are with us, we came up with a machine that was lightweight. It's made out of the same materials that aircraft are made out of, very, very lightweight materials. And I think the work that these people put into this really contributed to the new acceptance among traditional quilters as far as accepting what you can now do in a creative aspect on a professional quilting machine.
Well, I think it's great because, you know, as the work has progressed and as it's gotten, well, to a better quality, you might say,
exactly,
then it is accepted.
I know one reason we started to get into this, because years ago, frankly, I needed the money, and I'd realized that there were so many people like yourself, and that's kind of how we met when you contacted us, that you had been showing people how to make quilt tops for years, but you never got them quilted.
That's right.
And I just did some investigating, and I realized that so many ladies for years and years had been sending their quilt tops away to have them quilted by machine and waiting months to get them back. So I thought this might be a good thing to consider for a business venture. But at the time, you could only do a continuous design over some of these beautiful quilt tops. And with the new technology and designs that we've put into the quilting machines, you can now do, you know, very creative artwork with the machine.
Yeah, that's great. I understand you have some friends you want us to meet.
Yeah, we brought part of our flock here today. I'd like to introduce you to Ike. I believe you've met once or twice before.
All of our viewers know Ike.
This is Ike Winter. We call him the Quilting Cowboy.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Ike.
And Kay.
We're glad to have you here, Ike. How did you meet Ike?
Well, we were exhibiting some quilting at the Los Angeles County Fair, and this average person off the street walked up in your average shirt and your average hat. No, the truth is, Ike had never really done any machine quilting before, and he's a wonderful example of what someone can do with just a little bit of practice and not being intimidated because the machine is big or whatever. And he's quite a success story right now.
Right.
Proud of him.
Yeah. Did he have the shirt and the hat on when you met him?
No.
I think it was overalls. No.
No, I didn't have overalls.
But he has a fan club now, Jeff, so you'll have to get his signed autograph.
I'm jealous.
You also have another guest?
Yes, Julie Borg from near Minneapolis. And it's a long story, I won't get into it, but Julie came across the quilting machine after falling off a horse. And there's a story to that. But anyway, she had no experience whatsoever. She does workshops and seminars in her home. She does some gorgeous work. Again, it should be encouragement to the average person who might be intimidated by starting, you know, on a quilting machine.
Right. And our viewers have met Julie before, too.
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to leave us to these two people?
I'll let them do their stuff.
Okay.
See you later, Kay.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Julie, what are we going to see today?
Well, today we are quilting a feather border. And I'm following a pattern here in the back using the stylus to follow the lines of the pattern.
I see you've already got part of it sewn.
Right. And now we're going to finish the feather. My eyes will be down here on the stylus, but yours can be watching the quilting.
That's more fun. I can just imagine this feather in the border of a quilt. It just is gorgeous.
Julie does a great job on this feather. Everything I've seen of hers is just beautiful.
Well, I can tell she's a beautiful machine quilter, but tell me, Ike, on the quiet, is she really a good teacher?
Oh, you bet.
She really is.
I learned a great deal from her at that workshop I went to hers. Yeah.
Yeah, Julie teaches workshops, a one-day workshop, right, Julie? Where
Right.
people come in and study with you and learn at least some of what you know, right?
Right, and they get to try it themselves, too.
Okay, what are we going to do now?
Well, this machine also has a nice feature called the channel lock, and I'm able to sew straight parallel channels with it without even more than lifting a finger. I will set the channel lock, and I turn the machine on, and it's so easy to maneuver, I can do it with one finger.
And you don't have to worry about your lines being parallel, do you?
Nope, the channel lock takes care of that.
Does it all for you.
And now I just loosen it, and we're ready to go on to another area.
Well, thank you, Julie. I want to just thank you so much for sharing this and for being on other shows with us. And I know a lot of our viewers would be interested in your workshops.
Thanks, Kay. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, Ike, now your specialty. What are we going to do?
I'm going to do a feather freehand in this small block
Okay.
and put a little stippling around it. Get my machine over here and pick up my thread with that little button.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go with a little bit of a move like this, and then make this. Now this feather is not as uniform as Julie's, but it still looks like a feather if you.
This is an Ike feather.
Yeah, this is a freehand feather. So then when you get to the end, you just come off of that and just do a little bit of meandering, stippling, whatever you want to call this. When you do this pattern on a full-size quilt, and do it on every set together block, but then it looks like that feather just sort of weaves across the quilt from
It does.
sort of a, like on point, you know.
Yeah.
You just quilt this all in like this, and when you get done, you turn the machine off, and that's it.
Well, Ike, this is really interesting. I noticed that Julie's technique gives a much different look than yours.
Yeah, mine's just freehand and is not as uniform as Julie's. She does a real perfect job on it when she does it.
But there is a time when this is the look you want on a quilt.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, what about something like echo quilting? A lot of quilters are doing that now.
Okay, I can do a little bit of echo quilting in this space I've got right here.
Okay.
And what I do when I do echo quilting, I don't do it just around this regular block. I make a different shape. So when I come in and come back out, my next time around past that
I see.
has to have this extra look.
So again, you're into the more of the free motion.
Yes.
And for those of our quilters out there who don't realize what echo quilting is, it's really a series of lines going out from a design.
Right.
And the designs are close together.
And you just keep going around and around and
Follow
around
the shape.
until you use up all the quilted air.
All the space,
yeah.
right?
Here's it.
Now, does Julie teach echo quilting in her workshop?
She does.
Good. Sounds like you've covered a lot in there.
Yeah, she takes really good, she's a real good class. Covers everything.
Did you know how to use the machine before you went to her workshop?
Yeah,
You did.
But
So you just had to learn the fine points.
I was learning how to do it her way, yeah.
Oh,
And then when I finished that, like if I want to come over here and do some more echo quilting in the same area, you just start off from there,
I see, and just enlarge it.
enlarge it right. And if you have a block that's a certain size, a rectangle block or a square block, you just do like this, and then you follow that block, and move in here, and come around this way. So it really makes a lot of movement
Right.
in this echo quilting. And again, this is my style. It's freehand, and see, I know I can't get back down in there after I go out, so I fill in that spot before I leave
you
it.
come out,
Yeah,
right.
before I leave it, right.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Ike. I have really enjoyed all of the tips you've given us on on quilting with the quilting machine all during this program.
Yeah.
And it's been a big hit. And I'm one of your members of your fan club, aren't I?
Yeah.
Thanks so much,
I
Ike.
had a good time.
Good. Hi, I'm Kaye Wood, and welcome back to Kaye's Quilting Friends. Joining me today is someone you may remember. This is Marilyn Badger. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, Kaye.
It's great to have you back.
It's nice to be back.
Now, Marilyn is with the American Professional Quilting Systems, and you teach workshops on the quilting machine, is that right?
Yes, I do.
And you also quilt the quilts for people like me.
Right.
And a lot of other people,
Have
too.
to stay in practice.
That's right. Okay, what are you going to show us on the machine today?
Well, I'm going to show you a new little miniature pattern that you can do and make a miniature quilt.
You mean on the quilting machine you can do a miniature?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us how we'll do that.
Okay, I have the pattern here. It's one of the Harry Wallner designs, and all of it is right there. You just follow it with your laser stylus until you come back to the beginning. And today we're working on a bigger piece of fabric, but if you were doing this, you could just mount a small piece of fabric, allow for your borders and binding and a little bit extra on the sides, and do it that way.
So it doesn't matter how big or how small?
No,
Real versatile.
Right.
Now, if you're choosing a design, let's say people wanted to just use a design of their own.
Mm-hmm.
What do they have to keep in mind? Does it have to be like a
It
continuous
needs to be
line?
as much as possible. There will be places where it won't be continuous, but if you can keep the main part of the pattern continuous, it helps a lot.
So really, any design that's made for quilting on a regular sewing machine would work because
Yes.
they're continuous line.
It'll work, and it'll work a lot faster.
Okay, well, I know it will. And a lot easier and look
Yes,
better.
a lot less stress on the body.
Right. Okay, let's show us how you're going to start with this pattern.
Okay, I'm going to start in one of these groups of hearts, and I'll start right down here in the center here. When you do this, you'll want to kind of visually go around the pattern first before you turn the machine on, because it's going pretty fast, and know where you're going.
Okay.
So I've kind of worked this one up, and I know how it works.
So it's a good idea maybe to do a practice one first?
Yes, and they'll turn out good too. So they make nice little gifts, a small quilt. So I'm going to hit my one stitch button here and get my bobbin thread up to the top.
One stitch means, I learned this when you were here before, it just takes one stitch at a time.
One stitch at a time.
Great idea.
And then with these, you do want to lock your stitching because it's not hidden in the binding or anything, so you need to have it locked when you're working out in the center like that. Then I wheel my needle down just to start.
So it's in the fabric and sort of pivot
Right.
or anchored in there.
And that's not something you have to do. I just got used to that, and that's what I do.
Well, you know, you're the expert. If it works for you, I think it's probably a good tip.
So then we're just going to turn it on and follow the pattern. Go around those little hearts. You need to try to stay as close to the pattern as you can on these. Some patterns you can get away without doing that, but this is a very small piece, so you may run into other stitching if you don't stay on the line close enough. Then we come out and go around these again. And over here, to that point, and
I can
back up.
see that you have to keep your eye on that laser and where it's going on the pattern, don't you?
Right. And then we're already up to this other corner, so.
Well, this is fun. I can look at the needle and you can look at the pattern.
Yeah, you can tell me if I have any problems up there.
Well, it looks like you're doing great.
It's a great little pattern. And then when you get this center motif worked out, you just place your borders around where it's marked and fill the borders in and you're done. So in just a few minutes, we've got half the pattern worked.
Now, how long would it take someone who wants to do quilting on a machine to get to the point where they are comfortable enough to do a design?
If you get down there and practice, just do a few patterns, put a piece of muslin on and fill it up with quilting. And when I got started, I took in about a dozen quilts for the women's shelter that they were going to hand tie anyway. And so I quilted all of those, and by the time I got through, I was ready to start charging.
That is great. let's take a look at the miniature quilt that you have here. Okay.
Now this is just the finished version. This is the part we worked today. We just continue around here and finish these hearts. Then you do have to go back in and fill these 4 little places in and your center. You have to break your stitching on those. And then you fill in with the borders around it and bind it, and it's finished.
All done.
Right.
And you have a really nice miniature quilt.
And in less than a half an hour, you can have that quilted.
Boy, that is great. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today and again showing us some of the versatility we can get with our quilting.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. And I'll be right back.